Chapter 3.6 is about compound inequality. It's going to introduce us to one more type of situation you're going to face in this chapter here. The essential question is, what is a compound inequality? And a compound inequality, like a compound sentence, if you know about a compound sentence, it's whenever you take two sentences and connect them with a and or a or and a comma. It's just an inequality that has more than one problem in it, and it's usually connected with the word and or. We've kind of already seen one. This is actually an and equation. What this would say is that 5x plus 4 is greater than 19 and 5x plus 4 is greater than 34 or less than 34. But most of your and inequalities have this setup, which is what we saw in 3.4's lesson, where what we do is we simply solve this by solving all three parts. So what that means is you're going to try to get x alone by moving the 4. So of course, to move the 4, what we're going to do is subtract it. But again, the trick here on this is because there are 3 sections to deal with, you must subtract 4 3 times. 19 minus 4 turns into 15. Don't change that symbol. Bring down your 5x. Don't change that symbol. Bring down 30. And then from there, in order to get rid of this 5, we divide by 5 on all 3 parts. So then we get 3 here, less than or equal to x, which is less than 6. We also discussed how we have to graph everything here. This is already set up for graphing because the smaller number is 3, the larger number is 6. Remember from section 3.1's video that if this is the symbol and it has the equal to it, means 3 is actually included, and so that circle is closed. That this is not included because it's just less than 6, and so this circle is open, and this would represent all the values between 3 and 6, inclusive on 3, not inclusive on 6, and there you go. So again, one of those we've already seen, which is why you should notice this is a very quick set of notes because you've already pretty much learned everything you need to learn, and I'm not going to just talk to you for 20 minutes just reviewing everything that you've already seen. The second type of compound inequality uses the word or. To solve an or equations, you just simply solve both equations separately. After you solve, graph your solutions on one number line, okay? Because it is one inequality, even though it's a compound inequality, and so all of your solutions have to go on one number line. And so what you do is you have 3t minus 1 is less than negative 13, or 2t plus 3 is greater than or equal to 11. Again, this word here means that this is two separate problems. And so what we're going to do is work this one out by adding 1 to both sides, bringing down 3t less than negative 12, bringing down dividing by 3, with t being less than negative 4. Then we come over here and work this one out. So we do minus 3, minus 3. We have 2t is greater than or equal to 8. We then divide by 2, getting t is greater than or equal to 4. And again, when you go to graph these, what you will do is put the smaller number over here, the bigger number over here. Of course, the smaller number in this case is negative 4. The larger number here is 4. And then you graph each one of these on the same number line separately. Notice this, negative 4, is non-inclusive, which means that it's open because it's just less than, and it's pointing to the left, which means we will go this way. Remember to put an arrow. This one over here is inclusive, so it's closed, and it's pointing to the right, which means we go here with an arrow. And that would be what a graph typically looks like with an or. Now there are some times where both of them point the same direction, but when that happens, you'll just have to kind of think your way out of it. For example, if this one here is a starting point, that's a starting point, and this is pointing that way, and this is also pointing that way, or would mean that you would actually start from the one further back and go that direction on. But again, you'll see that sometime later on, and when you do, we'll talk about it and discuss our way through that. One more example before we finish this off and get to our work for the day. Here again, that word or means we actually have two separate questions. You don't have to actually separate them, but kind of helps sometimes. Here we subtract 3, subtract 3. We end up with 5x is less than or equal to negative 10. We divide by 5, getting x is less than or equal to negative 2. Over here, We have to be careful because this looks like it's a tricky question because there's a couple things that we don't like to have happen. First off, recognize that z is on the wrong side, which means obviously that sign is going to have to flip. So we'll see what happens. Also notice that the z has a negative attached to it, which also means that the sign is going to have to flip. So there's going to be some weird things going on. But other than that, let's look at this as adding 6 to both sides. Negative 8 plus 6 is negative 2, greater than negative 2z. Next thing I want to do, as I've tried to show you, is to get rid of this negative by flipping both sides. So 2 comes down, flip the sign, bring down 2z. Dividing by 2 to get my answer, I get 1 is less than z. But remember that I need the z in front of it, so I bring my z over, put my 1 over, and again flip that sign around. And what I do now is graph it. The smaller of those numbers is negative 2. The larger of those numbers is 1. Negative 2 is inclusive because it says equal to, and it's going to the left. 1 is not inclusive, and it's going to the right. And so this would be the picture that I have. So you should notice that your solving strategies don't change at all. The only difference is sometimes we work out 3 sections and other times we work out 2 separate equations. Just as long as you're continuing to get better with your solving, as long as you're continuing to ask questions and practice and get better with finding the value of the variable, you should be okay. Just again, make sure you look out for those 2 situations. That's really going to be the theme of this chapter is, can you pay attention to when the variable is on the wrong side? Can you pay attention to when the variable has a negative sign attached? And make sure you don't mess up on the symbol. If you're still fighting your solving and the symbol, it's going to be tough. So like I said, make sure you keep practicing. Make sure you get as much help as you can, because otherwise it's going to be a very, very tough test coming up next week. Good luck.